June 28th, 2020. Hi, my name's Tom Yakopin, and this is the Tom Yakopin podcast. Welcome aboard. We affectionately call this Yakopinions. You can visit us online at Facebook. We have a nice site there, the Tom Yakopin podcast. We do have a humble website. You can also visit at yakopinions.com. We're also on YouTube. So I encourage you to visit us there as well. And if you like our content, what we're sharing with you, which our real goal is to stimulate positive thought, content, get all of us thinking a little bit, edifying, encouraging, and uplifting one another. Today I want to talk with you about how do you live a life of your dreams? How can you live the life of your dreams? Can you do that? And I want to begin with a simple thought that we should all be able to wrap our minds around, in that everybody starts somewhere. And one of the things about life, if you really think about it, is that we all have a starting point, but none of those starting points is necessarily equal, nor fair necessarily. If you consider an individual who is born without legs, I believe that you would agree with me that it would be difficult to conceive the idea that that man or woman with no legs has the same opportunity as somebody with legs, or a child perhaps born in Malawi, Africa, which is a very poverty-stricken and backwards part of the continent of Africa, or a person that is in a white ghetto or black ghetto in Baltimore, Maryland. Are they born into, is their starting point the same in terms of advantage or opportunity? Is it the same as somebody that is born with more privilege or advantage? So this is something I want to talk with you about, because I believe that we have throughout human history, as well as currently in our lives, with great individuals, men and women, from every walk of life and from every culture and genome, we have people we can look at and say, wow, this man or this woman somehow faced the challenges that they were given, the hand that they were given, and they played that hand in such a way that they overcame it, and in some cases, not just a little bit, but in many cases, quite a bit. So I want you to think about that. There are people that are born with economic advantage, okay? Does that economic advantage guarantee the blessing and the overall success necessarily of the life of that young man or woman who maybe is given economic advantage? What if they don't know how to manage that? What if they made bad choices with that? What if they became foolish or lazy? How does that work out? Or there are those that have certain social or even genetic advantages. Which brings me to two philosophies that I would like to discuss with you today, and that is this. That is the philosophy of determinism versus the philosophy of free will. The philosophy of determinism versus that of free will, meaning what? Meaning, for example, in Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he does a portion in there talking about genetic determinism, meaning there are those who would say that your gene pool, right, is going to be an overall contributor to which you will not be able to outrun nor overcome the strengths and or weaknesses of your gene pool. Genetic determinism. Stephen Covey goes into psychic determinism. What is that? That is the many impressions on the hard drive of your mind, your heart, your soul, your spirit, whatever you believe makes up that you that goes beyond the veneer of your earth suit, okay? Your psychic determinisms. Were you told as a young man or woman growing up that you can? Or were you told you can't? Did you live in a place where there were constant negative criticisms, where conditions were recited over and over and over, the conditions meaning the limitations, where you heard nothing about unlimited possibility or I can, but were constantly receiving reinforcement of how you cannot? Or here's another one, social determinism, your neighborhood, your schooling, your friends, your peer group. Is it true that we as human beings are simply stuck inside of a predetermined system of life? Or, contrary-wise, is there a great possibility that what makes us different from the birds of the air and the fish of the sea, or the creeping things, the bugs on the ground, is it possible that that spark that we have as humans that makes us different from the salmon who can only swim up, right? That's what salmon do every year. It's spawning time. They do the same thing their dad and mom did, and the same thing that grandma and grandpa. That's all they can do. The birds are always flying south, right? That's what they do. That's their genetic, socio, and psychic determinism. That is all of that rolled into one, driving an animal's response to conditions or situations. But Stephen Covey in his book also affirms, and I believe the same, that what makes man, humankind, different as those given an endowment from our Creator, that between stimulus, meaning what I am faced with conditionally, and response, what makes me different than a salmon or a bug or a crow or a duck, is that between stimulus and response, number one, I can imagine a thing. Okay? I can imagine a thing. I can use my mind and my heart and my soul and my spirit. And as Viktor Frankl once wrote, that he used his imagination to conceive of a situation and circumstance that trumped, that went beyond his very unpleasant conditions and circumstances as a detainee in a Nazi concentration camp. So I want you to think about this a little bit. I want to bring up a few notes and maybe a quote from Mr. Stephen Covey. If you've never read his book, by the way, friends, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I would highly recommend it. Mr. Covey says this, that he believes the difference between people who face off successfully with conditions and those who struggle with it is that one group of individuals is very reactive and another group of individuals is very proactive. And he says this, quote unquote, within the freedom to choose are those endowments that make us uniquely human. In addition to self-awareness, we have imagination. The ability to create in our minds beyond our present reality. We have conscience, a deep inner awareness of right and wrong, of the principles that govern our behavior, and a sense of the degree to which our thoughts and actions are in harmony with them, and we have independent, the will, the ability to act based upon our self-awareness, free of all other influence. In other words, we can imagine a thing that goes beyond our current limitations or determining factors, see it in our mind, believe it with our mind, and bring it to pass, beginning with the end in mind and executing backwards. Food for thought. Let's pick this up in the next session. My name's Tom Yakopin, and this is Yakopinions. Bye for now.